This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Staying in Iran, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who is running for a second term in office, has held his first presidential debate on state television. He discussed a wide range of issues with his rival, Mir Hossein Mousawi. It was a heated debate, much more intense than many had expected.
President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and former Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi have clashed headfirst. The president started complaining that his government had been attacked and criticized up to an unprecedented level. However, the real deal would come about foreign policy. It started with the president defending himself.
In foreign policy, unfortunately, they have denied the great victories of the nation. They have absolutely denied the services that the government has given.
But his opponent would have none of it. Mousavi said President Ahmadinejad's time in office had been filled with a list of shortcomings that have eventually only damaged Iran's image and good name.
This administration has been based on adventurism, instability, exhibitionism, acting on unreal slogans and heroism, illusions, superstitions, secretiveness and lack of transparency, authoritarianism and disrespect for the law.
President Ahmadinejad, however, refused all the charges, saying it's all baseless. He said his foreign policy had been a success, and among the examples he mentioned would be the Iranian nuclear issue and the United States.
Today we've become a nuclear state. For 3 centrifuges they had to beg everyone during the former government. Now we have 7,000 functioning centrifuges. Former US President George W. Bush called Iran part of an axis of evil after all the cooperation that the former government had with the US in the nuclear issue and in the Afghan war. Bush threatened Iran with military action, but now things are different.
In response, Mousavi said Ahmadinejad's approach toward the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has only helped Israel to play the victim.
The government speaks in a way that instead of isolating Israel, only victimizes it. Even in the recent conference in Switzerland, the Europeans were against Israel for its latest war in Gaza and were approving resolutions condemning Israel. But because of the president's wrong position and his mistakes, which damaged our image and reputation, the Europeans all went back to supporting Israel.
President Ahmadinejad rejected what his opponent said. The debate also centered on other issues such as the economy and the way the government is running the country. This was the second presidential debate in the run-up to the June 12 elections. The 4 candidates will have a total of 6 debates. The next is set to be broadcast live on Thursday.
Presidential candidates running in the Iranian elections are relying on the youth to gain votes. In return, the youth expect the presidential candidates to pursue new policies that will improve their living conditions in a difficult social situation. In a series of reports about the Iranian presidential elections, Asif Ahmadi explores the youth's living conditions amidst the heated upcoming election campaigns.
لسنا في ولاية أمريكية فهذه جمهورية إيران الإسلامية.
We are not in an American state. This is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and these are its reformists. Young men and women hold the burden of the election campaigns on their shoulders.
حملات انتخابية وواصلوا الليل بالنهار
All day and night, they are concerned with the success of a candidate for whom they have high hopes for change.
وهنا لدى المحافظين مشهد شبابي آخر.
These are the conservative youth who are relying on leaders that they believe will succeed in planning the future of the country and who will maintain the interests of the generations.
بموسم انتخابي بما يحمله من طموح واستشراف للمستقبل.
There is youthful excitement during the election season where the youth are ambitious and look forward to the future.
يشوبه كثير من المصاعب من أبرزها البطالة.
However, outside these halls, the youth in Iran currently suffer from many hardships, most importantly, unemployment. Masoud Askari, a young Iranian university student, excelled in industrial management, but he is without a glimmer of hope in finding a government job. Masoud, who is 23 years old, is forced to drive a taxi cab for a profession, though he does not see a future for himself on the horizon.
ويرى فيه خطوة لن تفتح له الآفاق.
After my graduation, I had hoped to find a job, so I applied for more than 150 private and government positions, but to no avail.
This young man, who is looking for a place for himself in this busy life, could not think about getting engaged to the woman he loves during his university years. He believes that unemployment among the youth has many risks.
Many have received high-level degrees, yet they can't find any work, with the exception of those who have connections to the right people. Many take another road, such as using drugs.
Masoud Askari is one of those whose life has been derailed by hardship. He is also one of those who believes that the government, who has confused its priorities, is responsible for these conditions. These are not explosions, nor are they honorable sacred fires. Rather, the fires are meant to express joy for the burning of large quantities of drugs. Whenever the authorities here succeed in eliminating what they call the primary enemy of the youth, they document their accomplishments with these fires. This is particularly important when considering that the United Nations has recorded Iran to be the country with the largest number of addicts, which has reached about 3%. In numbers, this means Iran has 1.5 million addicts. In addition, a report issued by the Iranian Ministry of Health indicated that 70% of AIDS cases in the country are a result of drug use. Many of these addicts didn't know what they were getting themselves into and wasted their futures away. According to Iranians, the major challenge facing the upcoming president is his capacity to protect the youth from what are known as the two greatest dangers, drugs and unemployment.
We start with Majid Hamid, who accompanied the Iraqi delegation that attended the investment conference for Iraq in Dubai and prepared the following report.
It seems that the relative security improvement in Iraq has compelled the government these days to pay more attention to the lack of public services, which has caused Iraqis a great deal of suffering. The Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Rafea al-Asawi, who is in charge of security and public services, has conducted several rounds of important negotiations in Dubai, hoping to increase foreign investment in Iraq.
We have more than 65 installations administered by the Ministry of Industry. About 4 or 5 of them are in partnership with other companies in the framework of the Foreign Investment Program. We hope that other companies will also join in.
These days, the government is exerting a great deal of effort to provide better public services, but these efforts are being derailed by the spread of corruption in government institutions and in some ministries. This has been a source of concern for ordinary Iraqis and has outraged the parliament members who have begun to question some of the ministers in charge of public services.
There was no corruption. The Transparency Committee would not have so many investigations before them.
Political experts believe that the government must find tangible solutions to this complicated problem. Of course, corruption has impeded the government's efforts to bring in foreign investment, which is necessary to rebuild Iraq. For the From Iraq program, Majid Hamid, Al Arabiya.
We welcome our guest, Sami Al-Araji. You attended the conference that was held in Dubai to bring foreign investments from Gulf countries into Iraq. Were the Gulf countries receptive? We heard about a plan to invest $500 billion into Iraq by 2015.
Let us step backwards so I can explain where the $500 billion number came from. This is a big number, and it must be explained. We have prepared an investment plan based on the current needs of the Iraqi provinces and districts and their future needs up until 2015. This plan includes projects to build all the necessary public services, infrastructure, and achieve economic development in the country. The plan covers the industrial, agricultural, transportation, communication, health, and educational sectors. We based our calculations on estimates from the Ministry of Housing for necessary housing units until 2015. According to their estimates, we need about 3 million housing units. If we were to build those housing units beginning in 2009 until 2015, we will have to build about 350,000 housing units annually. This is if we assume that the average housing unit costs about $50,000. This means that we need $3 billion to build the 3 million housing units.
To shed more light on the situation on the ground pertaining to the availability of public services in Iraq, our colleague Jawad Al-Hattab prepared the following report. Then we will discuss the importance of foreign investments for establishing public services.
The deterioration of public services in Iraq is one of the most painful subjects for any Iraqi journalist or citizen. This problem is widespread and it affects all aspects of life.
Regrettably, public services in Iraq are not okay. I think that the ministries and agencies in charge of these services should operate more effectively.
The problem stems from the fact that the agencies in charge of public services only deal with problems in a superficial way. The main reason for the failure of providing concrete solutions is corruption.
The quality of life for citizens is not good and the available public services are not sufficient.
This is what is going on inside the homeland, but other issues affecting Iraqis abroad must also be considered. According to news reports, some governments are in the process of making deals with Iraq aimed at forcing Iraqis abroad to return home. Citizens believe that the Iraqi government cannot provide a dignified life for the displaced inside Iraq, and now it does not want other countries to help them live in dignity. Perhaps what is happening to Iraqi refugees in Denmark is a good example.
وقد أكد الرئيس العراقي أن عقود إقليم كردستان العراق النفطية هي عقود.
The Iraqi President Jamal Talibani said that Kurdish oil contracts are constitutional and legal, while the Iraqi Prime Minister's office has rejected all Kurdish oil contracts, saying that Baghdad will not deal with any oil company signing contracts with the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG, independently of Iraq's Federal Ministry of Oil.
This day is historic because the Kurdish nation has drafted its oil and gas bill in a freely elected parliament in order to build the infrastructure of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. Building this infrastructure, which the Kurdish nation has been deprived of for a long time by the consecutive Iraqi regimes, will help to boost the capability of the Kurdish nation to develop itself economically, socially, and culturally. Crude oil production in Kurdistan will provide an important part of that required infrastructure, which the KRG must safeguard and protect unequivocally.
العقود التي عقدتها حكومة إقليم كردستان هي عقود دستورية وقانونية.
Another fact is that the oil contracts that were signed by the KRG are legal and constitutional. They are constitutional according to Article 112 of the Iraqi Constitution.
الذي توصلت إليه حكومة إقليم كردستان مع حكومة الوحدة الوطنية برئاسة الأخ المالكي قبل سنين حيث نصت فقرة.
They are legal according to the agreement that was signed years ago between the KRG and the Iraqi National Unity Government, led by Brother al-Maliki.
فلحكومة إقليم كردستان الحق في توقيع العقود النفطية والغازية مع الشركات وفق القانون.
According to the agreement, if the Iraqi National Assembly failed to approve the oil and gas bill prior to May of 2007, then Kurdistan would have the right to sign oil and gas deals with foreign companies.
تجلي محاولات تصويرها بالعكس وكأن حكومة إقليم كردستان تقوم بمثل هذه العقود.
This is a fact that some are still trying to deny or to take out of context in order to show that the KRG is signing deals independently of the federal government of Baghdad, ignoring that this decision was unanimously approved by the Council of Ministers.
من جانبه قال رئيس إقليم كردستان العراق مسعود البرزاني.
At a ceremony celebrating the start of Kurdistan regional oil exports, the head of the Iraqi Kurdistan region, Masoud al-Barzani, said that exporting oil from Kurdistan is an achievement for all Iraqis. Al-Barzani further said that Iraq's natural resources and the revenues belong to all of the people of Iraq.
إنه بحق يوم تاريخي لجميعنا.
It's a historic day. As you all know, this giant step taken by the KRG is an achievement for all the people of Iraq. We are very proud of the region and the government of Kurdistan for taking such a giant step. On this occasion, I would like to congratulate the Iraqi people, all the Iraqi people. I would like to commend the Kurdistan Regional Government and the Ministry of Natural Resources on their efforts in the region. Thank God, all praise to Him, for giving us the confidence and willpower which we all need to achieve our desired goals. Today we prove that we are working in accordance to the Iraqi Constitution. Yes, Iraqi oil and gas belong to the Iraqi people, and all benefits must be reaped by the Iraqi people.
U.S. President Barack Obama arrived just over an hour ago at the Buchenwald concentration camp in Germany, accompanied by German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel, who himself was liberated from the site. Obama is the first U.S. president to visit the former Nazi camp. Ahead of his arrival at Buchenwald, the U.S. president spoke to reporters about his great-uncle Charles Payne, had a role in liberating the concentration camp in 1945 while a young American soldier. Obama said Payne experienced great and long-lasting shock at what he witnessed in the camp. The U.S. president said he wants to reflect on the dark days of history during this visit because it is a reminder of the dangers that exist between nations in conflict.
To this day, there are those who insist that the Holocaust never happened, a denial of fact and truth that is baseless and ignorant and hateful. This place is the ultimate rebuke to such thoughts, a reminder of our duty to confront those who would tell lies about our history. Also to this day, there are those who perpetuate every form of intolerance, racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, xenophobia, sexism, and more, hatred that degrades its victims and diminishes us all. In this century, we've seen genocide. We've seen mass graves and the ashes of villages burned to the ground, children used as soldiers, and rape used as a weapon of war. This place teaches us that we must be ever vigilant about the spread of evil in our own time, that we must reject the false comfort that others' suffering is not our problem, and commit ourselves to resisting those who would subjugate others to serve their own interests.
One day after the landmark speech in Cairo by U.S. President Obama to the Muslim world, Israeli reaction is mixed. Senior government officials in Jerusalem say that they were informed beforehand of what Obama was going to say regarding the U.S. position on the two-state solution and the Israeli settlement issue. The sources say that discussions over both topics will resume this Tuesday when U.S. Special Middle East envoy George Mitchell returns to the region. The government was initially reluctant to criticize the Obama speech, saying that Israel shares the U.S. president's hopes for the beginning of a new era of reconciliation and Arab recognition of Israel as the Jewish homeland. But behind the carefully worded statement, senior Israeli officials voiced disappointment that the president did not take a stronger stand against Iran's nuclear program. Other government representatives said that they were outraged by the parallel Obama drew between the suffering of the Jews and that of the Palestinians. The source has said that the Palestinians have repeatedly been offered their own state, both by the United Nations and by Israel, and have always declined, preferring the path of violence. But as previously reported, the official response in Jerusalem was far more guarded.
The president has spoken. Now everybody has to roll up their sleeves and start working. Israel, for sure, is very much interested in moving forward with the political process with the Palestinians, of course, and with other issues. We're willing to go a long way to fulfill our commitments, but it has to be in a larger context whereby the Palestinians do their share, and also, and I think this is what was important, I think, also in the president's speech, that the Arab countries also have a big stake here, and they should also put their effort. And I think the most valuable thing that they can do is not just normalize relations with Israel, but also help the Palestinians.
Israel shares the hope expressed by President Obama that his efforts will indeed lead to a new period of peace and reconciliation in the Middle East, a period where Israel will be recognized as a Jewish state, and that we can live without fear of violence and terrorism. Israel is willing to play our part to achieve that goal.
In related news, the demand from the Obama administration for a halt in Israeli settlement activity has perhaps served to galvanize settler activists. Overnight, young people rebuilt the Ma'oz Esther outpost near Kiryat Arba, which has been dismantled by security forces twice previously. Some 200 people took part in rebuilding the site, including the Ma'oz Esther synagogue, where the Torah scroll is dedicated to the memory of Yonadav Hirschfield, who was murdered last year during the Palestinian terrorist attack on the Merkaz Harav Yeshiva in Jerusalem. And meanwhile, other activists, calling themselves the Land of Israel Loyalists group, established a new West Bank outpost in the Binyamin region overnight they named Oz Yonatan. Members of the movement dubbed one of their wooden structures the Obama Hut, in what they said was an appreciation of the U.S. president.
The so-called president of the Council on Settlements in the West Bank, Dane Edian, attacked the American administration for pressure that Washington is putting on the government of Tel Aviv to vacate settlement outposts and halt construction inside the settlements, which he equates to political terrorism. According to the Israeli newspaper Yadout Achnot, many settler leaders share the same position as Dane, describing American interference in Israel as undermining Israel's democracy. Within this framework, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected American calls to freeze settlement expansion in the West Bank, a matter that appears to have begun to cause tension between Washington and Tel Aviv, according to some analysts.
يبدو أن الرئيس الأمريكي باراك أوباما تعدى الخطوط الحمر الإسرائيلية
It appears that American President Barack Obama crossed Israel's red line when he announced frankly his position on Israeli settlements, demanding an end to the settlements due to their illegitimacy and their damage to the peace process. Many Israeli ministers in the extreme right-wing government announced frankly and without consideration of their historic allies in Washington that they will not freeze settlement activity in the Palestinian territories. Their decision was welcomed by the government and the Israeli people. This announcement is fully compatible with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's pledge to not restrict any construction of Jewish outposts. The Israeli peace movement said in a report that 44% of the land where settlements are being constructed is random and owned by Palestinians, while 80% of similar types of settlements are being partially or completely established on private Palestinian land. After the relatively recent international pressure put on Israel, the Minister of the Occupation Army has announced that he intends to dismantle the random settlements established on private Palestinian land. They will expand large settlements scattered throughout the West Bank, referencing that about 500,000 Jewish settlers live in groups in large settlements and other settlement outposts in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Therefore, Israel's persistence to go forward with settlement-building policies and their annexation of more Palestinian land is a matter that is considered a challenge to the will of the international community and an obstacle to the peace process. The question that remains is, how is the world going to deal with Israel's stubbornness?
The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.